Hello students and welcome back to the science class. So we were discussing about the digestion process in humans, how the food is digested in a human body. So we started our topic digestion and we studied that the process of digestion starts with the mouth and we call it as buccal cavity also. The mouth is also known as the buccal cavity which constitutes of the teeth, the tongue and the saliva that contains an enzyme which is known as salivary amylase. What are the functions of these three components of buccal cavity? The food is actually in the complex form and the teeth chews the food and breaks down the complex food into some smaller particles by chewing the food, and the process is known as mastication. Then the smaller particles of food are mixed with the saliva with the help of our tongue, which actually moistens the food and it makes it easy to engulf it down our esophagus. Then comes the salivary amylase. What was the function of this salivary amylase? It converts the starch into maltose. Then from the mouth, the food simply slides down into the esophagus, that is our food pipe, which is about 25 centimeter long tube. The food slides down the esophagus in a wave-like motion that is caused due to repeated relaxation and contraction of the walls of the esophagus. And this type of movement is known as the peristaltic movement. Now, the digestion is not occurring in the esophagus. No digestion actually occurs in the esophagus. Food is just moved through the esophagus and it is reached to the stomach part. Now, continuing with the same. So, we studied about the mechanical digestion which occurs in the mouth by the action of chewing, which is a physical digestion. Then we studied about the chemical digestion which occurs due to some enzymatic reactions. So we are going to study the chemical digestion. Now the question comes, where the food is actually digested. In the alimentary canal, these are the three sites where the digestion occurs. First one is the buccal cavity, where the carbohydrates are digested. The starch is actually converted to some simple sugars, that is the maltose. Salivary amylase was doing this job of converting the starch into maltose. Then comes the stomach and then the third is the small intestine. These are the two parts where the chemical digestion actually occurs. So let's study it. So how the food is digested in these sites? We have studied the digestion in buccal cavity. We are having three pairs of the salivary glands. The saliva actually contains water, mucus and the enzyme which is known as the salivary amylase. So water actually moistens the dry fruit. Then we are having mucus which lubricates the food, which becomes slippery and easy to swallow. Then comes the amylase which converts the starch into maltose, and almost 5% of the digestion is complete in the mouth. So when the breakdown of starch molecules occurs, that is also a chemical digestion where the starch is converting into the maltose molecules by the salivary amylase which is present in the saliva. That is also a chemical digestion. You are seeing here the starch which is a complex carbohydrate and it is converted to maltose which is simple sugar, and it is done by the salivary amylase. So after the food is passed through the esophagus or the food pipe, it reaches the stomach where the physical digestion again occurs. Stomach is actually a J-shaped thick walled muscular bag. You are seeing in front of you. It is a J-shaped thick walled muscular bag that is located below the diaphragm. In the stomach, the process of squeezing and churning occurs. The lining of the stomach has some digestive glands which secrete the digestive juices. And the digestive juices include the hydrochloric acid that we also call HCl, then the mucus and some digestive enzymes. and the food stays in the stomach for 2 to 4 hours and it is half digested like a thin paste, which is called as chyme. The food in the stomach is churned and it is acted upon by its digestive juices. Let's study the function of these. So here are the functions that are performed by these mucus, HCl and the digestive juices. So the mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach. Then the work that is done by the acid is what? The acid kills the bacteria which enter along with the food into our body. And it also makes the medium acidic so that the digestive juices can act upon the food. The digestive juices are having such properties that they become active in the acidic medium only. So the acid, that is HCl or the hydrochloric acid, it kills the bacteria and it also makes the medium acidic so that the digestive juices can act upon it. Then we are having the digestive juices. It helps to break down the proteins into some simpler substances, and these simpler substances are actually the polypeptide or the dipeptide chains. So the proteins are converted into some polypeptide or the dipeptide chains, and then the partially digested food, which is in the form of chyme, that is moved from the stomach and it goes into the small intestine. So the digestive juices are having some enzymes. Here in the stomach part, the digestive juice actually has the enzyme protease, which converts the protein into some polypeptide or dipeptide chains. Then here the hydrochloric acid is there, which provides the acidic medium for maximum activity of the enzyme. It also kills the bacteria and it also stops the activity of the salivary amylase, which was there in the mouth, which was converting the starch into maltose. It also stops the activity of the salivary amylase. And then comes the small intestine. After the food is half digested in the stomach, we are calling it as chyme. It is moved to the small intestine. Now the small intestine is a coiled structure, approximately 6 meters in length and the longest part of the alimentary canal. The digestion of food is completed in the small intestine. It receives bile juice from the liver and pancreatic juice from the pancreas, and it also secretes several digestive juices of the intestinal glands, which help to digest the semi-digested food, which we are calling chyme, completely. So the digestive juices found in small intestine are the bile juice, which is secreted from the liver. Then we are having pancreatic juice, which is secreted by the pancreas, and then we are having the intestinal juice as well. So first is the bile juice, which is produced in the liver but it is stored in the gallbladder. So the bile juice, it contains some bile salts which emulsify the lipids into smaller droplets without any chemical change. Lipids are some fats, and it also provides alkaline medium for the enzymatic action to work. And it also provides alkaline medium for enzymes to work properly. So the lipids are emulsified. These are converted into smaller forms. Then comes the pancreatic juice, which is secreted by the pancreas. It contains enzymes of 3 categories. First one is the carbohydrate, that is also called as the amylase. Then we are having protease and the lipase. These 3 enzymes, these provide alkaline medium for the enzymes to work. So these are 3 enzymes which are present in the pancreatic juice. So we will call them as pancreatic amylase, pancreatic protease and the pancreatic lipase. So we'll study what the function they are performing. So the starch is converted into the maltose by the pancreatic amylase. The starch is again converting into the maltose. Only just 5% digestion was complete in the mouth, where the starch is converted into the maltose. But again, what is left is done here by the pancreatic amylase, which are converting the starch into the maltose. Then comes the pancreatic protease. These are doing what? These are converting the protein into the polypeptide and the dipeptide chains. Then comes the pancreatic lipase, which converts the lipid, that is the fats, into the glycerol and some fatty acids. Since these three enzymes are present in the pancreatic juice, that is why they are called as pancreatic amylase, pancreatic protease and pancreatic lipase. Then comes the intestinal juice. Now again, this intestinal juice is having enzymes of two categories. Again we are having carbohydrates, but this time it will be called as intestinal carbohydrates. There we were calling pancreatic amylase. Here we will use intestinal, since these are present in the intestinal juice. And the second enzyme, that is again protease. So first comes the intestinal carbohydrates. Earlier we studied about the pancreatic amylase or the pancreatic carbohydrates, which was converting the starch into maltose. And maltose is a disaccharide, and disaccharide is a chain of two saccharides, that is group of two glucose molecules, and it can be further simplified into one glucose molecule, and it is known as the monosaccharide. So this process is done by the intestinal carbohydrates. So the disaccharides, that is the maltose, it is converted into monosaccharide, that is glucose, and this is the simplest sugar. Now the starch is converted into the simplest sugar, that is glucose. Now it can be absorbed very easily. So the disaccharide is converted into the monosaccharide, that is maltose is converted into the glucose by the action of intestinal carbohydrates. Then we are having the intestinal protease. Earlier we studied about the pancreatic protease, which was converting the protein into polypeptide or dipeptide chains. The dipeptides are the chain of two amino acid molecules, and polypeptides are, that is a poly chain of amino acids, that means more than two. So here comes the intestinal protease, which is converting the dipeptide chains into the amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Proteins are actually formed by the amino acids. The amino acids are the smallest unit of the proteins. Now the peptides are converted into the amino acids, and now the amino acids are in the simplest form. So dipeptides are converted into the amino acids, and these can be absorbed easily. Here comes the functions of the small intestine. In the small intestine, the nutrients which are in the complex form, these are converted into the simpler forms. We are having the complex nutrients like proteins, carbohydrates and fats. So proteins are broken down into amino acids. How? Firstly, the proteins are converted into the dipeptides or the polypeptide chains by the action of pancreatic protease. Then by the action of intestinal protease, the dipeptides chain are converted into the amino acids. Then we are having the carbohydrates. These are broken down into simple sugar, that is glucose. How? Firstly, the starch is converted into the maltose by the action of pancreatic amylase or the pancreatic carbohydrates, and then the maltose, which is a disaccharide, it is converted into the monosaccharide, which is the simplest sugar, that is glucose, by the action of intestinal carbohydrates. So the carbohydrates are converted into the simplest sugar, that is glucose. And then the fats are broken down into the fatty acids and the glycerol by the action of that lipase. So all in all, proteins are converted into the amino acids, the carbohydrates are converted into the simple sugar, that is the glucose, and fats are converted into the fatty acids and glycerol. And now these are in the simplest form, so they can be digested easily. And after the process of digestion, what comes next? This is the process of absorption. So the process of absorption again occurs in the intestine. So the intestinal wall absorbs the digested food. So let's study the process of absorption. So here comes the absorption process. Now after the complete digestion, the nutrients of the food are changed into the simpler forms and these are absorbed by the intestinal walls. So the digested food is absorbed mainly in the small intestine, and for the efficient absorption of the nutrients, the intestine is having some features. The intestine is firstly very long. It is highly coiled and approximately 6 to 7 meters in length, and it is actually the longest part of the alimentary canal. Now the inner wall of the intestine, interestingly, it contains numerous finger-like projections which are called as villi, and the singular word for the villi is villus. So the intestine is having numerous finger-like projections which are known as villi, and these villi increase the surface area of intestine to about 5 times for the absorption of digested food. So the main role that is played by these villi is to increase the surface area of the intestine for absorption of the digested food. Let me show you the structure of these villi. So here we are having villi, which are finger-like projections in the inner wall of intestine. You are seeing the structure of villi? Now the villi have a network of very fine blood vessels called capillaries, and the food substances are absorbed by the villi and then these are transported through the blood vessels to different organs of the body. You are seeing here that villi is having various blood capillaries, and also each villus is supplied with an arteriole, a venule and blood capillaries, a lymph vessel or lacteal and lymph capillaries as well. So with all these, the transportation occurs. The transportation occurs through the blood vessels to different organs of the body. In the body, the absorbed food is incorporated into cell components, and this is called as assimilation. Assimilation was what? Assimilation was the process of utilization of the absorbed nutrients by the body for the energy and growth of the body. So after the process of absorption, the assimilation process occurs. And after that, the food that remains undigested and unabsorbed, it enters the large intestine, which is divided again in 3 portions, that is cecum and appendix. Appendix is the extra part that is of hardly any use. The appendix is having no function in humans. Then comes the colon and the rectum. Colon absorbs the water and minerals, and rectum, it stores the feces temporarily for digestion. So the large intestine is actually shorter in length and it is about 1.5 meter long, but it is wider than the small intestine. Again, no digestion occurs here. Its main function is to absorb water and minerals from the undigested food material. Then comes the rectum. The undigested waste from the large intestine that passes into the rectum, and it is stored here as semi-solid feces. And then comes the ending of the alimentary canal, that is anus. The fecal matter that is passed out through an opening called the anus, and this process is called digestion. Digestion is a process of getting rid of the undigested solid part of the food, and it is also known as defecation. So this is the process of digestion. So this is all with the process of digestion in humans, which is a very important and interesting topic of the chapter. So in the next class we will study the digestion of food in ruminants. Today we studied about the digestion in humans. Next time we will study about the digestion of food in ruminants. And ruminants are the grass eating animals like cows, buffaloes, goats, sheep, deer, etc. These are ruminants. So till then, take care and goodbye.